Yeah, and important to note that Bukes has been gone just as long as Malkin. That's a big hole in the lineup and in what Mike Sullivan wants to do. So, unfortunately, we're going to be talking about Penguin injuries until April and hopefully May.
Yeah, and you're right. Hopefully May. You seem to talk about the Penguins not you, but we can seem to talk about the Penguins injuries a lot here, especially over the last couple of years because they seem to be injured a lot. But
we were talking, Bob and I, on this show recently. Just think of the portion of this show we spent talking about injuries, and not just this show, but the portion of the Post-Gazette sports section, the portion of the radio shows that are devoted to injuries. I don't know how athletes are being trained, whether they're being overtrained, undertrained, whatever it is. The people in charge of making sure athletes avoid injuries are not getting it done.
You know what? That's a good point. What do you think the percentage is now that you bring it up? Like 60, 70? It's got to be.
At least half the coverage, especially in the electronic media, is devoted to injuries. Who's going, who's coming, who's pending, who's not pitching off a mound yet. I mean, that's what sports coverage has become.
And then in the 80s, 90s, it was not even close to being like this.
It didn't seem to be. Now, if you do a dedicated study of this and a disciplined study of it, you might come up with some other result than the one we're intimating here. But it seems like, the story of pro sports is the story of injuries and surgeries and recoveries.
And I bet you any money that we talk about an injury every single night on this show.
Probably.
And probably at least,
even if it's ours,
at least 50 or 60% of the coverage on this show or questions are about some kind of injury relating to someone. So let's go out to Nunzio out in Braddock. What's up, Nunzio?
Not much, gentlemen. Hope you're having a good night.
Thanks for coming.
About this rumor, it's not really a rumor. It's got a lot of fire to it about Tomlin going to Washington. And the reason why I say that is because Tomlin's kids playing out that way. He's got family out there. They're going to give him the GM and the manager and the coach's job. He's going to get a lot more power to do what he like to do. And as far as compensation, yeah, I would take nothing less than what Oakland got for Gruden. And I think the guy wants him so bad, he's going to pay it. And that would be the one thing that would help us out immensely. Get their draft choices in here, get us a younger, fiery coach, and let's move on.
Nunzio, I think there's a lot of speculation out there right now. I mean, I know where there's smoke, there's fire, and maybe he's interested, but I don't see it happening. This would be a long shot, in my opinion.
Is he talking about Tomlin?
Tomlin.
No, that's not going to happen. You can put that out of your mind. If the Steelers do not win another game this year, Tomlin will be here for next year and probably the year after that. Forget about it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Gene on this one. Yeah, I think if I would put it like a 3% chance that they would work.
Steelers have a better chance of making the playoffs than any other team has of making Mike Tomlin their head coach for next year.
And what's the Steelers' percentage right now?
Well, if they win against Miami on Monday, they'll be 3-4. Teams that start 3-4 have a 14% chance.
14%. I actually think they're going to win their next two games.
Might.
That would put them at 4-4. That's what I think.
Probably.
I don't know if that gets them in the playoffs, but 4-4. I think the first half of the season.
The Colts after the Dolphins. The Colts played very well.
They have, but that's at home. The next three games are at home for the Steelers. I think they win 2 of those 3 games. Maybe they lose the Colts, but they beat the Rams. But I think they're going to be 5-4 after this whole.
Could be, but the Ravens seem to be improving.
Yes, I'm not. I don't know if they can win the division. I don't even know if they can catch the Ravens. I mean, even if they beat them, now the Ravens are 3 games up on them.
2, right?
So, all right, let's go out to the phone lines. Let's go out to Dave out in Johnstown. What's up, Dave? How you doing?
I just want to make a comment, and then I'll listen to what you have to say. You're talking about injuries. When I think back, I've been around a long time, and athletes over the last 25, 30 years have gotten so much bigger and so much stronger and faster. And I'm just wondering what you think, if that's one of the leading factors in so many injuries in sports. So I'll hang up and listen.
Dave, thanks a lot. I appreciate you calling from Johnstown, but here's my point, Gene. They're doing way less.
No,
right?
Well, in football, they are doing way less. But
Well, baseball too, right? I mean, the pitchers.
They play every day. Yeah, but pitchers aren't throwing as many innings or pitches. That's true. In the case of football, they're practicing and hitting each other a lot less. I think that might contribute to more injuries because when it's time to play the game at regular speed, that's a big difference. But your point about athletes being bigger and stronger definitely applies in football. You know, if you ever get a chance to stand on or near the field, I know from training camp, Rich, some of these collisions, when they do allow them to hit each other, these are like car crashes. These guys are 300 pounds, they're moving covering 40 yards in 4, 5, 4, 6 seconds. You know, that is a really, really brutal sport.
Yeah, even hockey, guys are now bigger, stronger.
Yep.
Guys are in better shape. I mean, I can even remember when I was younger, and you've been in those locker rooms. I mean, baseball players after the game were smoking and drinking beers, and
Yeah,
I mean, now it's totally different.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls, some of your tweets coming up next. Stay right there.